If your charity has one marketing channel worth protecting above all others, it is almost certainly your email list. Social platforms can change their rules overnight, bury your posts, or disappear entirely, and you never truly own the audience you built there. Your email list is different. It is a direct line to people who already care about your cause, and no algorithm sits between you and them. In the next few minutes, we will walk through why email matters, how to build a list honestly, what to send, how often, how to write an appeal that actually works, how to thank people well, and which numbers are worth watching. First, a quick honesty note. This channel is educational only, and nothing here is legal advice. Email and consent rules, including anti-spam laws, vary a great deal from one country to another, and they change over time. So please treat everything here as a starting point and verify what applies to you before you hit send. Results vary too, and no one can promise you a single donation. What we can offer are sound, practical habits that put the odds in your favor. Why email is your best owned channel? Let us start with why email deserves your attention at all. The simplest way to think about it is ownership. When you post on a social platform, you are a guest on someone else's property. They decide who sees your message, they can change the deal whenever they like, and if your account is ever suspended, the audience you spent years building can vanish overnight. Your email list, by contrast, is something you own, can export, and can carry with you. It is also direct. An email lands in a personal inbox, one-to-one, rather than competing in a noisy public feed. And across the nonprofit world, email has a reputation for being one of the more dependable channels for turning attention into action, often returning more for the effort than social media does. That does not mean social has no place. It is wonderful for reach and for finding brand new supporters. But email is where relationships deepen and where a great deal of the actual giving tends to happen. Treat it as the home base that the rest of your marketing quietly feeds into. Building your list ethically. A healthy list is one that people genuinely chose to join. The single most important rule here is simple. Never buy a list. Bought and rented lists are full of people who never ask to hear from you. They damage your standing with email providers, and in many places contacting strangers without consent can break the law. Instead, grow your list the honest way. Put a clear sign-up form on your website explaining what people will receive and roughly how often. Collect addresses at your events with a visible willing opt-in rather than a sneaky pre-tick box. Add a simple sign-up option to your donation and volunteer forms. Wherever someone joins, be transparent about what they are agreeing to and make leaving just as easy as joining. A smaller list of people who truly want to hear from you will always outperform a big list of strangers. And remember, the specific consent requirements differ by country, so check what your local rules ask of you before you start collecting a single address. Send more than asks. Here is a mistake that quietly burns out a lot of charity lists. The only emails that ever arrive are requests for money. Put yourself in a supporter's shoes. If every single message is a hand held out, people stop opening. The fix is to send a healthy mix. Share stories about the people, animals, or places your cause supports because stories are what make a donor feel something. Send updates that show real progress so people can see their support mattering in the world. And say thank you often and genuinely without asking for anything in return. A good rule of thumb many nonprofits use is that most of your emails should give, inform, or thank, and only a smaller share should ask outright. When you have spent months showing supporters the good their gifts create, an appeal lands very differently. It arrives as an invitation to continue something they already believe in, rather than yet another interruption in a crowded inbox. Generosity in what you send earns you the right to ask. A sustainable sending rhythm. How often should you email? The honest answer is regularly enough to stay a familiar friend, but not so often that you become noise. For many small charities, something like once or twice a month is a comfortable, sustainable rhythm. What matters most is a consistency you can actually keep up. It is far better to send one thoughtful email every month, reliably, than to send weekly for a while, burn out, and then go silent for half a year. Pick a cadence that fits the time you honestly have, and then protect it. A simple, repeatable schedule also makes your own life easier, because you can plan your content in advance rather than scrambling at the last minute. And keep a gentle eye on how people respond. If unsubscribes climb whenever you increase frequency, that is your audience quietly telling you to ease off. Sending less but better is almost always the safer bet than flooding inboxes and training people to ignore you. The anatomy of a strong appeal. When it is finally time to ask, structure gives your appeal its power. Think of a strong fundraising email as having 4 clear parts. First, a clear subject line, honest and specific, that makes someone want to open rather than tricking them into it. Second, one story, not 5 statistics and 3 programs, but a single person or moment that shows why this matters right now. Emotion moves people far more than data ever will. Third, one clear ask. Tell the reader exactly what you would like them to do, and, where you can, what the gift makes possible, for example, what the specific amount could actually provide. Vague appeals raise vague amounts. And fourth, one obvious button. Make the way to give impossible to miss, a single bright, well-labeled button rather than a link buried deep in a paragraph. Resist the urge to cram every message in at once. One story, one ask, one button, wrapped in a subject line worth opening, will nearly always outperform a cluttered email that tries to do everything at the same time. Simple segmenting. Segmenting sounds technical, but at its heart, it simply means not sending the exact same message to everyone. Your list is really several different groups of people. You have donors who have already given, subscribers who follow along but have not yet donated, and volunteers who give their time rather than their money. These groups care about different things, so speaking to each of them a little differently is both respectful and more effective. A first-time donor might get a warm welcome and a story about impact. A long-standing supporter might get a note that acknowledges their history with you. A volunteer might hear about upcoming chances to help in person. You do not need anything fancy to begin. Even splitting your list into 2 or 3 simple groups is a big step up from one identical message for all. Most email tools let you tag or group contacts quite easily. Start small, keep it manageable, and grow your segments only as far as you can genuinely keep them useful and current. Thank donors quickly and warmly. If you take only one habit from this whole video, make it this one. Thank your donors quickly and thank them warmly. The moment someone gives, they are feeling good about your cause, and a prompt, heartfelt thank you deepens that feeling and makes the next gift far more likely. Aim to acknowledge a donation as soon as you reasonably can, ideally with an automatic thank you the very moment it arrives, followed where possible by something more personal. Make the thank you about them and the difference they have made, not about your organization. Tell them what their gift will do in plain human language. Avoid turning the thank you into yet another ask and let it simply be gratitude. Donors who feel genuinely appreciated tend to stay with you for years, while donors who feel taken for granted quietly drift away. Thanking well is not merely good manners, it is one of the most practical retention tools you have, and it costs you almost nothing. The few numbers that matter. Finally, let us talk about measurement, because it is easy to drown in data. For most charities, 3 numbers tell you most of what you need to know. First, your open rate, roughly how many people open the email, which reflects whether your subject lines and your sender reputation are working. Second, your click rate, how many people click the link or the button, which tells you whether the message and the ask actually connected. And third, and most important of all, donations, the real gifts an email brought in. Watch these over time and compare an email against your own past emails rather than against someone else's numbers, because benchmarks vary widely and matter far less than your own trend. If opens are low, work on your subject lines. If clicks are low, work on your story and your button. If donations are low, look hard at the whole ask. A few numbers, checked regularly, will teach you more than a giant dashboard you never actually open. Quick recap. Let us pull it together. Email is your best owned channel because you own the list, it reaches people directly, and it tends to return more than social. Build that list ethically with a clear opt-in and never a bot list. Send a healthy mix of stories, updates, and thanks, not only asks, on a rhythm that is regular but sustainable. When you do ask, keep it to one clear subject line, one story, one clear ask, and one obvious button. Segment simply so donors, subscribers, and volunteers each hear what fits them. Thank donors quickly and warmly every single time, and watch just a few numbers, opens, clicks, and donations measured against your own past. Do those things consistently and your email will quietly become the most valuable marketing you have. Remember the spirit of this channel. The goal is to hand you practical marketing you can actually use without the jargon and without the hype. Nothing here is a promise of results because results genuinely vary from cause to cause, and nothing here is legal advice. Consent and anti-spam rules differ by country and change over time, so always verify what applies to you before you build your list or send your next campaign. Start small, be honest with your supporters, and be consistent, and the rest tends to follow. If this was useful, subscribe for practical charity marketing you can actually use, and we will keep turning good intentions into things you can put to work this week.